Hello, welcome to Three Crows Runes. My name is Jen. Let's do some rune readings. Today, we are in the time in which I am recording this. We are about to have a major solar eclipse in North America. So I wanted to do lots of things for that, but I'm not going to be able to do both of them today. Lots and then both. So I had do I want to do pick a card readings or do I want to do predictions? And I flipped a coin and it came up predictions. So today I'm doing the predictions. Next week I'm going to do the pick a cards for the sun and moon readings for the eclipse for personal choice. But today I am doing 3 sets of readings about basically what may arise during this time of eclipse. Because the effects of the eclipse are generally felt not just on the day of the eclipse, but for a little while after. So this will actually carry through for a bit. Once again, entertainment purposes only, but let's see what we get. So this morning I drew 3 cards to sort of divide the topics of what we're going to be talking about and in these predictions. So first we're going to be discussing the mythic journey of humanity during this time. Second, we're going to be talking about the good things that are going to be coming through. And thirdly, we're going to be talking about the major change that's happening, major changes that may be happening. I am going to be using the Aquarian Tarot, and I'm going to be using the Woodland Wardens Oracle deck, and I'm going to be using the smoky quartz runes. So, a bit different today from usual, but I think it will be an interesting journey. And I will put the timestamps in the description, and I will see you at the readings. Bye! Hello, welcome to the set of readings that we are doing about the eclipse and our journey mythically as a species as we move through this time of eclipse. So I think I'll just do 2 options for this. So let's pull 2 cards from the Aquarian Tarot and see 2 aspects of the mythic journey that humanity is going through at this time that we can do readings about. So there's 1 and 2. Let's put this over here. So I'm going to move this. Let's turn them both. So, oh my gosh, yeah, okay. So on the one hand, as we move through this eclipse, and this is going to apply to everybody, not just the people in the path of the eclipse. So this is sort of like just a general reading on what people are going through. Actually, I think I pulled 2, but I'm going to do 3. 1 is going to be general, and 2 are going to be specific for what we're going through. So first one I pulled was Ace of Pentacles. So there is something that is beginning with humanity where we're really getting back to what's important, what is really, in terms of survival, what do we need to make sure we have at base? It's like that fable about the rocks in the jar. What are the big rocks we need to get in the jar so that we can move forward with everything else? Because there's so much now, and it's basically sand. And if we just have sand, we won't be able to fit the big rocks in, and yet that's the way that a lot of people have been going on, is just there's so much sand that people are just... we're not remembering that we have to actually make room for the big things that keep us alive. And it's not, I'm not seeing this so much as money as I'm seeing this as very down to earth practical things. There's a big focus on, let's begin really working on, really focusing on what's important for survival, for just basically practical abundance. The other thing that's happening is there's a aspect of our journey that has just been exhausted, and it's basically at the end of its time. There are things planted and there will be new ideas growing. However, at this point, one of the things that's happening during this is it's almost like this spreads to that. So this is basically when we're going to need to nourish the ground that this is going to be drawing up from, so that this becomes a recharge where you're actually nourishing the body. And of course, this is the one that I initially pulled, which is the mythic path. So let's get some runes down. and have a look at, let's start with the mythic path itself. So just general reading on the mythic path as we move through into this eclipse moment, which is going to be a pivot. So let's see what there is to know about this moment and what the eclipse is going to mean for the journey that humanity is taking mythically, which is leading up to a open door challenge, which is kind of neat. So central issue for this is not in a bad way, but a lot of people, it's like, we all face this alone ultimately. Like, yes, we're all together in it, but everybody's journey through this is going to be very, very personal and individual. So whatever else anybody else is going through, it's not going to have, it's not going to be like, oh, well, that person had this journey, so that's the journey I'm going to have. No, everybody's going to have their own journey through this. It's like anything in life, you have your own path and you're going to move through it on your own path. We have just completed, based on the leading up to this rune, which is Yira. Sorry, Mana's reversed. Rune of Humanity, and your part in it is reversed on the central issue, so it's inner. You're basically turning away from the din at this point, or you're just basically not one of the din. You are not one of all of humanity. You are yourself moving through this. Leading up to this, we have Yira, which is the rune of the harvest, and also time. We've just wrapped up a season. This is something that has, not a season, but it's like a period of time where we got things out of it, and now it has come to a close. So now we are moving in this journey to this next stage. So here we are. This is the journey where we ultimately have to do this alone. No matter what anybody else is going through beside you or around you, there is an element of your own personal journey that is going to be front and center as you move through this. We're all going to face this on our own. What is going to help us is we have Ingvaz. Ingvaz is the rune of Ing. Ing is another name for Frey, and Frey is the fertility god. This has to do with active creation, but also I'm seeing this very much as sort of an ear read, as like the younger Futhark ear, which is the bow, where it's about continuity. And so what do you want to carry forward? What do you need? What do you want to bring forward? What do you want to carry forward as you move forward? What part of you are you bringing forward? But really also just keeping in mind that you're going to shape this journey. This is your journey. And this echoes with this, basically. Nobody else can take this journey but you. Nobody else can take this step on the journey but you. And how you take it, there's going to be a lot of choice involved. You are choosing what to bring forward. You are choosing how to approach this. So even though we're being carried via time and also our location where Earth is going to be experiencing, and everybody on Earth is going to be experiencing this eclipse. I almost said it wrong. I was distracted. Everybody's going to be experiencing this eclipse in a different way. How you experience it, there is a certain amount of choice with this, and so keep hold of that. Use what you have to shape what you want to out of this. Again, a lot of this is not in your hands, but what is in your hands, you can shape. What isn't going to help you is it's a long journey, and we have Ivaz, which is the rune of the yew tree. This has to do with patience, slow growth, slow development, step by step. You're a bit worried about that. We're starting something new, and it's going to be long and go long ahead of you, and there's a lot to keep in mind for something that's going to take that long. You also may feel a little bit impatient because it does have to do with patience. You may feel a little bit impatient with the journey at this point, especially since you've just wrapped up a thing and you want to get on with things. But this is an important point where you're going to be just basically, you're seeing this new road ahead of you, and you just want to get on with it. If that starts to drag you down, bring yourself back up to, what can I do now? What is it right now that is in my hands that I have the ability to shape? And just basically that will help you in your individual journey forward, because even though we're all taking this journey together, everybody's experience is going to be very, very personal. And what this will lead you to is you are going to be on the other side of this eclipse, facing an open door to a new world in your life, basically. We have Thurizaz, which is the challenge. It's the thorn, the giant, the gateway. It is upright, so the door is open. So just basically, it's a new challenge. It's a new world. You know what you have in your hands that you can use to shape things into what you want it to be. But this is ultimately your journey, even though everybody is taking this journey together. And you will come out of this facing this new challenge in your life and as we move towards this open door that is, the next part of our lives. So, one aspect of this is going to be this focus on, just in general, on let's focus on what is essential. Let's focus on what is, the basic needs that are necessary to provide abundance and to provide nourishment and the practical things. Oh, you know what I was going to do is I was going to do these, I was going to do Woodland Wardens as well. It's like that quote about Jim Henson. It's like, simplicity is everything. And then he would go ahead and make the most complicated thing. So what's our thing of that? Yeah, so ultimately we have success on this. It's basically your path towards success on this. I'm just going to leave these up here, which doesn't show on the picture. I'm just going to leave it to the side for now. We have success. It's good. It's sort of you're leaning towards your success on these. Let's put this over here. It's like one extra bit of complication. So in this focus that humanity is having as we move forward into this, we're looking at the practical element of things and really focusing on that. So let's get some runes down on that. Yes, letting go of what no longer serves us. And this sort of leads from that, actually, now that I'm looking at it, because we have to make sure that we're tending our needs. This is sort of our trip up to it. And then here we are. One of the first things that this is let's look at practical things, practical matters. So your central issue on this part of it, where we are focusing on practical things, your basic needs, and making sure that the big rocks are in the jar. We're letting go of things that no longer serve. We are also, Othala reversed, letting go of things that no longer serve. We're stepping outside of our comfort zone because maybe we're used to having all this sand around us, all these extra things that are keeping us from the things that are really, 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 really necessary in our lives. And also just finding home within, so that wherever we are, we will have that. And that's going to be achieved by making sure that our big rocks are in the jar, making sure that the practical things in our lives that make our lives nourished and strong and that help us survive, we make sure those are in place, and then we will always have home within. Leading up to this, we have Tivaz reversed. Tivaz is Tyr's rune. Tyr is the warrior god. It does have to do with driving forward, but I'm really seeing this more as its other read, which is Tyr had to do with taking care of things that needed to be taken care of, tending to duties and responsibilities, and it's reversed, so this is inner. So it's almost like this leads to this. So on this journey that we are taking, each of us individually, even though all of us are doing it together, there is this open door challenge that we're stepping through. At this point, we need to make sure, because maybe we've been neglecting our needs and our duties and responsibilities, especially to ourselves, but we do need to focus on, once we turn to that, what do we need? Like, what do I need in this world? And what is it that keeps me nourished and keeps me healthy and well? That's what we're going to carry into this, where we're going to be, okay, let's let go of the things that aren't serving that. What is going to help you is really to stay open, because this is new ground at this point. We go through this. We're going through a gateway. So this is new ground. Stay open. Be aware. And just, it's not like expect the unexpected, but expect, but don't expect specifically. So just stay open. Connect to the divine, whatever the divine is for you. That's going to help you a lot. But really, we're focusing on letting that come through. Like, don't be telling yourself, this is what I need. If, you're basically, you're telling yourself this, but maybe there's something that yourself would tell you that you need. So this is the sort of thing where you need to stay open to that, to suggestion that comes from where it needs to, the essential suggestion. What isn't going to help is we have Kaunaz, which is the rune of the torch or the fire. Something starts small like an ember and goes into a blaze. This is sort of just hinting of, we're worried about overwhelm. We're worried about things getting out of hand, because we're coming from, we really are going to have to dial this back in order to focus on this aspect of things, which is just focusing on the essential things, focusing on the practical things, the things that we really, really need to get in place so that we can enjoy all the 100 million things that we've been currently enjoying without getting the other things in place. So it's just this sense of, things are going to get out of hand. I'm not going to be able to do the X, Y, Z, all the things that I was doing before, but that's fine, because a lot of that I can bet you right now weren't serving you. They weren't helping you stay nourished and good. They were just things that you filled your day with, because we're all going through that. So bring yourself back up to just being open and basically paying attention to what's going to come through that mist. It's like scrying, like what's going to come through that mist. You basically have to ask the right question, but what's going to come through that mist is going to be something that might surprise you, but it's actually what you really, really need to know about and that you need to focus on. What this is going to lead you to is I'm going to read this a few ways. We have either reversed, which is the rune of the journey. This has to do, it's both ending a journey and also bringing the journey inward. And as such, there is a journey that you were on, which has to do with, all what you've come through and what you're letting go of. And you're actually putting that to rest at the end of this bit. But you're also turning the journey inward, so where you're going to be better connected with what you do need in the world to stay grounded, to stay focused, and to stay, to stay connected to what is really, really essential. So let's get a Woodland Wardens card, because I committed to this and now we're going to do it, even though there's no room on the board. So Woodland Wardens card for this one, for the practical matters, is Hair and Oak, New Opportunities. I'm just going to put the chipmunk here, why not? It'll show me I'm done with that pile. So new opportunities. So again, with the blank rune, especially, this is going to show you new opportunities to bring nourishment through as well. Whereas this one was, success in terms of we are moving forward. We are going to be able to move forward together, but also in an individual way. And that's going to lead to our individual success, even the little chipmunk. So the final card I'm going to be reading about the humanity's mythic journey through this period of time. We have the Ten of Swords, which is just absolute, breakdown, overwhelm. You're tapped out, you're exhausted. It's total exhaustion. It does speak of recharging and regeneration, but the exhaustion has to happen. This may be an aspect of humanity's journey that has played itself out. And now we need to nourish the ground so that what comes back up is going to be much, much, much better. So let's get some runes down on this. What do we need to know about this? Yeah, and it's like this was an agreement that we had. This is something that we had that we needed to go through so that we could leave it behind, so that we could exhaust it and then move forward again. How does this want to go? Like that, yeah. Yeah, because we learned from that, and that's really important, and that's going to help us move forward. Yeah, to flow forward. So central issue on this one is Gabo. We have the rune of the gift. This has to do with an exchange, agreements, decisions, plans, and goals. So we definitely had this, the only way that we could get past it is to go through it. So we had to absolutely learn every aspect of this so that we've just I don't want to say the beat the dead horse thing, because that's not a nice image, but there's already a dead body on the screen. So so it just basically wanted to just beat the thing into the ground kind of thing. We just wanted to make sure that we've experienced every aspect of this thing that we are putting to rest at this point. We've exhausted it. Leading up to this is the overwhelm of it, just everything. We have Dagaz, which is the rune of the breaking of the day, and it's just like full illumination, full revelation. You can't look away. Everything is in your face, and it's exhausting, and it has exhausted that aspect of us. So just trying to fine tune this one. It's exhausted every aspect of us, and this is humanity is so tired of this, and we have exhausted ourselves of this. So now we are letting it be beat into the ground so that what can rise up from it will be better. What is going to help us is we really need to pay attention to what has been revealed. We have Pertho, which is the rune of the lot box. This has to do with surprises and fate, so you're casting your lot. kind of thing. So this is basically what has been revealed. And these are things that have been there all along. When you cast your lot out of a lot box, what was in there was always in there. But maybe we hadn't noticed it before. Maybe we hadn't seen the full spectrum of it before, and now we have. We're seeing every bit of it, and it's hard to look at, and it's really, really, it is exhausting. And it's something that we need to really see in all of its just awfulness. And we need to see this. This is something that is, it's coming out of people that we are seeing. And so we need to see what's being revealed. What isn't going to help us is we're seeing this and it's like, it's yucky and we're sort of questioning our worth. It's like, if this is the truth, then what are we? What are we worth if this is the truth? This is horrible. This is why we're doing this. We need to see it. We need to see it. We need to witness it. And we need to acknowledge what is being revealed. We need to see all of it so that we can move forward and grow from there and know what we're coming from. So if we start to worry about that, just bring ourselves back up to, yes, this is something that we're questioning at this point. That's important. But this could drag us down if we don't just remember that, we needed to have this agreement to go through all of this so that we could see it and be aware of it and see what was being revealed by it. And that's what we're going to take with us. We're going to we learned this. This is a thing we learned while we went through this. And what this is all going to lead us to is, I think we're going to be moving forward after this in a much more heart-focused way. Because this was just awful, and as you know, and I think moving forward, we're going to be, there's that whole thing, and I have a bit of time, so I'm going to say it. There's that whole thing about when humanity loses its righteous rage, for it's being used for bad things. But when humanity stops being able to stand up and going, no, this is horrible, and we need to not allow it. When we lose that, when we've been exhausted of it, then that's when things get swept, when the table gets swept clean. Here's an eerie story for you. There was a mythology book I was reading years ago, and there was a bit about this entity that appears when that happens, and it just moves across the earth, and it just sweeps everything clean. And it was made clear when I was reading it that this wasn't a god, this wasn't a conscious thing, this was just a thing that just came and just swept everything clean. And I could never find this again. I even have 2 copies of this book, and it's not in either of them. I think it says it's Zeus at this point, but it's it wasn't. When I read it very clearly, it was this thing that would move across and just clear things. So that's your eerie story of the day. But anyway, basically, we had to see all of this so that it would be into the ground. It's like the tower collapsing. We needed to see this, and we needed it to go all the way. We needed it to go all the way so that we could see it, so that it could be just exhausted and be into the ground, so that what comes up afterwards is coming up with our knowledge of what it was and what we are capable of, and what was being revealed, so that we can know this and so that we can move forward. Lagu's emotion, intuition, heart, and water, all the watery stuff, and the flow is the final rune in this. And so as a species and as our mythic journey, we can see this and experience it and witness it, and then move forward with our hearts leading, because that's really the best way anyway. It's even almost selfish, because it's so much better for us to move forward in a heart-centered way, that it's better with our own best interests to do this. So ultimately, I think that's what this bit is about, as far as the humanity's mythic journey is going, to ultimately reach that point where we're going to move forward again, but with a much more heart-led way. Heart-led flow. So because I committed to it, let's get I'm not regretting this, but there's not room. Let's get the card from the Woodland Wardens to sum up that aspect of this intuition. So this rune is emotion, intuition, and heart. So it's not just going to be heart-led, but it is going to be intuition-led. There's going to be a lot more. It's not like we're not going to be looking at facts, but there is an element where we're going to be feeling, and we're going to allow ourselves to feel. And that, plus letting our heart lead, is going to be a lot more and also seeing things from a new perspective as we move forward. And I suppose the heart is also implicated in the rich, rosy flowers that are not roses. They're hellebore. But anyway, so that is the read on the mythic journey that humanity is taking at this point in this moment where we're going to have this major eclipse. So on we go to the next readings. See you in a second. Hello, welcome to the next set of readings about the eclipse. So this is the set of reading that's going to be about the good things that are going to come through. Like the last set, I'm going to draw 2 more cards, and then we're going to read the general one, and then we're going to read the other 2. So, and then we're going to try to fit the Woodland Wardens cards on where there's no room, but I'm just going to put them on top. That seemed to work. Okay, so let's get some cards. This one wanted to come out as the first one. What good is coming through at this time? There we go. Oh, really? 2? Are you kidding me? I just pulled one. One of them fell out. All right, let's see what we have to do with this. I'm just making things difficult for myself at this point. So the first thing, which is what fell out, is the Hierophant. So it was upside down. So I'm actually thinking one of the things that is, I normally don't read reversals, but I'm thinking this is actually important. So I'm going to leave it like this. Sometimes I read this as living faith, but this is sort of like somebody on top of everybody else telling everybody else what to do. And I think one of the good things that's going to come out of this is we're going to start to turn away from that. So we'll leave that as one of the first things. The other thing, which I'm going to read together, oh, this is neat because they're actually really like compatible. These are really harmonic. We have the Knight of Rods and the Two of Rods. So we're riding forward. As we move forward, very aware of choice. We're very aware of the choices that we have and the choices that we make and the effects of that. And the fact that we pretty much have already made the best possible choice, and we're just making sure that we weigh both. So as we ride forward to express ourselves in the world, one of the things that is going to be essential in this, and I am going to read these together, is it's going to be about choice. It's going to be about allowing personal choice, but also really weighing it, like really being aware of the weight of it kind of thing. We're going to get runes on all of these, but let's start with the general read on the good things that are going to be coming through at this time. So yeah, it's going to be very abundant time. Weirdly, considering. Okay, interesting. So the central issue on the general read on the good things that are going to be coming through at this time is we have Yira, which is the rune of the harvest and also time. So it is going to be it's going to be ushering in this aspect an era of, whether it's an era or a short amount of time, a period of time at which there's going to be a lot of abundance. There's going to be things coming through that are going to be like good and nourishing. And it is going to be a set period of time, which is quite interesting. Leading up to this, there has been a feeling of stagnation. Things have not been moving forward. There's been ice. Things have been a bit frozen, and now things are breaking through, and it's going to be coming through in a more heart-centered way because it's cups. There's going to be more emotion. There's going to be more creativity. There's going to be more light. The ice is going to start to melt, and there's going to be abundance. What is going to help us the most is really to be very much more aware of emotions and the way things are flowing. We have Lagus, which is the rune of the water. So it's emotion, intuition, and heart. It's also flow. It's inner flow that it's reversed. So it's inner flow that we're going to be focused on. So it's really, there's going to be a lot more mindfulness. There's going to be a lot more awareness of emotions as opposed to being like identifying as the emotion and being like ruled by the emotion. We're going to be able to observe them. We're going to be able to we're going to observe the emotions that are happening. We're going to acknowledge them and honor them and sort of give them the space they need, but we're not going to be moved around so much by them. It's going to be there, and we're going to be very aware of them, but we're also going to be very mindful about it. But just basically being more aware of our inner flow. Is emotional regulation going to be part of that? Yes, I think probably. To start to become more aware of that as we move forward. There's a lot that emotion is being used against people now, and it's turning off people's brains, and they're just like going on, oh, I'm mad, so now I have to be mad, and I am mad, and I'm identifying as mad. No, this is not going to help things. We need to acknowledge that, yes, we feel angry. We recognize that we feel anger, but we need to pay attention to this and sort of sit with it and say, okay, why, and what is causing this, and what can be done. And, it's basically that kind of thing. But there's going to be, I think, more of that coming in at this point. And a lot of it's going to have to do with overthrowing this. And a lot of it's going to, so for a very emotional card, it's going to be a lot of mindfulness of this. Like, we're going to be very aware of this, and we're not going to be shoving this aside, but we are also going to be like looking at it and going, let's work with this. Like, this is obviously a thing, so we need to work on this. What isn't going to help is we have Pertho reversed. So Pertho's the rune of the lot box. This has to do with surprises and fate. There's a fear about what is going to be revealed, and some unpleasant surprises of what were always there. And we just talked about that in the previous read about basically the journey, the mythic journey that humanity is taking. However, all of this can be countered with this. Like, if we're worried about what is being revealed, especially emotionally, we're already bringing ourselves to a mindful stance on this, where we're going to observe this. We're going to observe these things. So even if something really ugly gets revealed that surprises us, but then we realize was always there, we are going to be able to take those steps back from it and go, I recognize that I am that I am feeling this, and that we are experiencing this, and so we then are able to work with it and sort of surf it and stay on top of it, but also keep that inner flow as a flow. The inner flow just flows if you let it. It's like weather. What this is going to lead us to is a greater connection with our inner voice, with our inner communication, also a greater comfort with silence and with listening. So those are some of the good things that are going to come out of this. It may be very, very subtle, but it is something that is at least going to start. Let's talk about this one. Oh, we were going to do the Woodland Wardens. Poor Woodland Wardens. I dragged them all the way out here, and I really wanted to use them because I love them, especially for reading predictive type of things about things going on in the world. But yeah, snake and fern starting over. So definitely, it's a new way to look at things. Let's start fresh with this. It's also, it's like, snake is wisdom in so many cultures. It's sort of like bringing the wisdom in, and letting that flow through what is organically happening, and sort of observing it. So let's get some runes down on the reversed Hierophant. I think this is the first reversal I've read in these videos, which is kind of neat. Yeah, it's a big challenge because a lot of us, we're used to having, to looking to somebody of authority. And I mean, not all of us, obviously. Some of us were raised by hippies. So, but a lot of us are very used to looking to a person of authority to tell us what to do and how to think. And now we're really looking at not doing that, which is really good. So it is a challenge. It's not an impossible challenge because the door is open. We have Thurizaz, which is the rune of the challenge. Thorn the Giant, the gateway. It is open in front of us. We can just step through and be like, let's let go of that. We are going to use our own better judgment and follow our own truths. Leading up to this, there's really been a sense of, so we have Fehu reversed. Fehu is the rune of wealth and worth. It's the wealth that you tend, and I think that's been actually dropped. A lot of things that were giving us a sense of richness in our lives and our sense of worth, we're not feeling that as much because we're losing that. There's a certain amount of that that gets lost. It gets taken from us, our worth, when we're allowing somebody else to tell us what to do and how to think and how to feel, which is where we got into trouble before. So right now we're in a situation where we're standing in front of the open door and going, there's got to be something better. What is going to help us is we're really going to start. Is that the kitty? I don't know where the kitty is. I think she's sleeping. We're going to sort of look back and sort of rebirth ourselves. We're going to start to incubate a new us. We have Berkana reversed. Berkana is the rune of the birch tree. This is beginnings and birth. It is reversed, so it's inner. So we're really going to start to incubate a new us. We're sort of going to go back and start fresh. It's almost like we're going to forget what we've been brought up, like have it drilled into us, you must do as you're told, you must do as, you're being directed to, or you'll get in trouble. But we're in trouble now, so we need to go back and go, yes, there are things we're going to carry forward. There was wisdom involved before. There was some. Let's carry that forward, but let's also look inward and see what is healthier for us and more true for us, and let's build on that, and let's rebirth ourselves on that. What isn't going to help is we have Tivaz. Tivaz is the rune of Tyr's rune. Is the rune of Tyr, and Tyr is the warrior god, and it has to do with tending duties and responsibilities, and also just driving forward. But Tyr, there's an element of Tyr where he was the sky god. He was the, he was the warrior who was the king, and in this sense, Tyr's great. He's like, if you work with him, he has to do with balance, he has to do with tending duties and responsibilities, taking care of things that need to be taken care of. But in this lower line here, I am seeing this as representative of this guy underneath who has been reversed at this point. So it may have been easier to just look to a king, before. But that's not going to help us now. We need to start standing up, and we need to move into where we are not being told what to think and what to do, where we are thinking for ourselves and really letting wisdom shine through and doing the emotional regulation necessary and all that. So bring ourselves back up to where we are incubating a new us and stepping through this door where we're going to be on new ground and starting a new journey, which is the outcome of this, which is Raido, which is the rune of the journey. It's our new path. What's through this door, it's a new path forward, where we are leaving behind those big authorities who are telling us this and that, when in fact, they generally, some of them did. Some of them have been very good. But in general, people in power, they don't know you, and they tend not to have your best interests always in mind. Some do. Again, I'm not speaking of all of them, but for the ones that are saying, I am right, and you will only be right if you follow me, with some exceptions. I mean, obviously, if they are like, yes, we have the interests of people. You know what I'm talking about? Like, here's the situation. It's the people who are saying that but have their own best interests in mind. Because I know people can turn this around and say, oh, well, people who are like telling people not to set each other on fire and hurt each other, they're telling us what to do, so we don't want to do that. It's like, no, that's actually a pretty good thing. Like, you don't want people to be allowed to run around and hurt each other. So as long as they have, if you're observing people who are really not cruel, that's the word I was looking for. Where these people are cruel and where these people are encouraging cruelty, let them be turned upside down and let them be left behind. We're moving through the thorn door and leaving them behind and starting our new journey, because we've had enough of cruelty. Cruelty is just the worst, and we don't want that. We don't want that carrying forward. We're talking about the good things, and one of the good things is leaving the cruelty behind. Sorry, Hierophant, you're not always cruel, but in this case, I'm reading you as such. So we're leaving you behind. This is the interesting one here. Not that they're not all interesting, but this one in particular, because two of them really came out. And I don't think it would have worked if this one had come out here. I think they both had to come out together as the third card here, where we are moving forward. And this is, again, these, we didn't do the Woodland Wardens. Okay, give me a sec. We are moving forward on our new quest. This is our new journey, and this is our new quest to express our will in the world. Behind this guy is with this guy is this inner thoughtfulness of really taking our time with a choice. We may be going into these choices with a really good idea of how we're going to choose, but we are weighing the choices very carefully. So again, this is not just going with what we're being told. We are really thinking about the choices, and this could be for anything. This could be, things that we're going to do or things that we are going to choose. And we're actually going to really pay attention to this. We're not just going to go, blindly on this. So yeah, devotion is what this was about. Where is your devotion going to be? Is it going to be to somebody cruel who is telling you what to do for their own benefit? Or is it going to be you listening to your own better judgment and moving forward? So, choice. People taking a lot more care in their choice, not just doing the knee-jerk reaction choices, not just flipping a coin. Although I had to flip a coin today to decide what I was going to do. Why is everything crooked? Why is everything crooked in this picture? Did I knock the camera? Oh, because it's actually crooked down here as well. Okay, I'll just move that. Central issue for the choice aspect of the good things that are coming through and during this time of eclipse is Manas, which is the rune of humanity and our part in it. It's really going to be about harmonics. We are going to be choosing for ourselves, which is important, with the idea that when our own oxygen mask is in place, then it's easier for us to assist another. And we are going to be very aware of consequences, because you can't get away from consequences. There's no such thing as freedom of consequences, much as a certain portion of the population may wish so. We're going to be aware of this. We're making our choices for ourselves, but also keeping in mind our harmonic. We're keeping in mind our note in the song, because we are singing our note in the song, but there is going to be an element of mindfulness to it. I mean, we saw mindfulness here. We saw mindfulness here. There's going to be an element of really thinking very carefully. I mean, it's not to a point where we're going to stop ourselves from doing it. Ultimately, we have to take that step. But things have gotten out of hand. We have what led up to this, which is Kaunas, which is the rune of the torch or the fire. Something starts small like an ember and goes into a blaze. And it's reached this point where if we want to face each other with joy, we do have to take the harmonic into consideration. And we need to be singing our note in the song. We all need to be using all of our magic right now. This is very important, whatever that is, and we will harmonize. I don't know if you've done that before, and I have, and it's amazing. If you're in a group and you all make the sound, it just comes into this incredible, there's a dissonance, but it's also harmonic, and it's gorgeous, where everybody has the same intent. So you're not going to get that, as we've learned in the past few years with the pandemic and all the craziness that's happened. We're not going to be able to align, all of us. We can align harmonically, I think, if we really, really want to. I mean, that's what's behind it. I mean, if somebody never wants to align, there's nothing you can do about that. But I think if there's enough of us, even if we are not very many, honestly, it doesn't take much to move things forward, ultimately. I mean, that's another thing that the past few years have really shown us, is that ultimately it's not everybody that moves things forward. It is a few moving in the correct direction, letting our empathy lead and letting our hearts lead, and sort of just doing the right thing at the right time. And ultimately we do wiggle forward a little. So what's going to help us? We have Hagalas. Hagalas is the rune of the hailstorm. This has to do with nature and chaos, things that are out of our control, but also nature and weather and natural forces, of which we each are one. So even the smallest choices, which this pile is about, is going to have an effect. We're going to flap that butterfly wing, and it is going to have an effect, however subtle. So just keeping in mind that every one of us is a force of nature. Every one of us has an effect. You're worried about, these people, these individuals that are having these huge amounts of power. Why can't you have that huge amount? You're an individual. All it takes is an individual. All it takes is one butterfly wing. So keeping that in mind. So we are ultimately all moving forward together, and the choices that we make do have consequences. I don't know where I'm going with this. I do, but I don't. But anyway, it's like, and then question mark is basically what I mean. So what isn't going to help is we don't want to force things. All we can do is tend our own acre. So we're making choices here, and we are trusting that other people are also taking their care in making their choices as well. So let's not try to force these people. Just do you. And hopefully enough people are going to be aligned. Focus on your own magic. Make sure you're bringing your magic through. Hopefully enough of us are going to be aligned that we're going to affect things in a more positive way. But these are the good things that are coming through. So I think moving forward, I mean, again, I don't want us to do that thing where we're paralyzed again, where we're so worried about affecting, because the people who don't care are just making these decisions and making these moves and making these actions, and it's causing harm, while the people who do care are taking so much time and worrying so much that we're not taking any action, and we're getting overwhelmed by the venom that's coming through. So we need to be making our choices. We need to be using our magic. Shrink it down to your acre. Like the orb in her hand is what she's considering. So it's your acre. You're going to make these choices, remembering that you too are a force of nature. So you're going to make the best choice for you and do that. Sing your note in the song, and ultimately, hopefully, the harmony will happen. Ultimately, the outcome on this is we have Ivaz, which is the rune of the yew tree. This is patience, slow growth, slow development, step by step. We are all going to take this path step by step, moving forward, bringing through the good that we can bring through. Phew. Okay, let's just do the Woodland Wardens card on that, and then we'll move on to the last set of readings. What do we have for this? The deer and oat healing. Yes. So again, tend your own acre. Make sure that you are making the choices that are good for you for healing. Trusting, hoping that there will be enough others who are going to be doing the same sort of choices based on healing. So there you go. Very interesting set of readings. Let's move on to the third set. See you in a second. Hello! For the third set of readings that we're doing about the eclipse and what might come through during that time. We have the death card. The death card has to do with major change. So this part of this reading set is going to be what major changes are going to be coming through at this time. So I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to pull two more cards from the Aquarian deck, which are going to represent two areas of existence in which there are going to be major changes happening in the world at the time of the eclipse. Okay. Pentacles. Interesting. That's really interesting because the last time we had rods. Actually, did we have rods? We had rods. Well, we had two rods in the last one, and I think the one before we had swords. So that's actually really kind of neat. So anyway, pentacles. And we had a cup in one of them. But anyway, pentacles, which actually go along with the red. So let's get some runes down. We'll start with, in general, the major change and what the flavor of that is going to be as we move into this. What do we have? Ooh, it's death, but it's birth. So something really new is going to begin. And that's quite neat. And there's going to be a lot of support for it. So one of the major changes is, wow, that's a heck of a lot more positive than I was expecting. So I'm really happy about that. So in general, the major changes that are going to be happening are really new things, something that is being birthed in the world. Something that we have Berkana, which is the rune of the birch tree. This is beginnings and birth. Something really new is being born at this point. And the major change that's happening is this new thing that's going to be beginning. I haven't seen anything really, really negative here. So this is exciting. I think I'm just basically focusing on the positive because Moki Fraggle. And that's generally what I do. Leading up to this major birth is finally communication. There is going to be communication and manifestation. A lot of people are working on this. A lot of people are working on bringing through something really, really new that is going to overpower the venom. It's like, pour a bunch of milk on it, you know. It's like there's venom, pour that milk. So we are basically overpowering the venom at this point by manifesting one holy heck of a lot of milk, and we are going to, however you feel about milk, whatever this milk is going to represent for you. But we're going to communicate, we're going to connect, we're going to manifest, and it's going to be just, we're going to bring things through. And this is going to lead to really a new beginning, the sprouting of the birch. And what's going to help us is there's going to be a lot of us doing this. Everybody, tend to your own acre, as I said in the last read, but it's at the same time, we're all sort of holding hands and supporting each other on this. Not necessarily holding hands because ew, but just really standing together and all of us bringing through as the best stuff we can bring through to overpower that venom. What isn't going to help is we're worried about, how much time has passed, how little time may be left, what we have to show for things, the usual worry that Yura in the lower line speaks of. But really, we're doing it now. It took this long, but now, like in this moment where everything seems to be scary and perhaps lost and things may be feeling like death, we're going to bring through the new birth. We're going to bring through this new, and this is going to make us very, very strong. It's going to be like the musk oxen, where they all stand with the new thing in the middle, and with the babies in the middle, and they are all just like dangerous, facing outward. Like nobody messes with the musk ox in the musk ox circle. So, but these are aurochs. I assume they did similar things. Bovids, big strong bovids. So big strong wild bovids. So yeah, so the big major change is going to be new things. Definitely new things coming through, and we're all going to be bringing things through and supporting each other in this, even if we don't know each other. The fact that we're all singing this new healing song together and bringing things through together this is like all of us using our magic to bring the new through. And it's going to make us very strong, like a circle of muskoxen or aurochs, as the case may be. What do we have from the Woodland Wardens? We have, the vulture and asphodel upheaval. So major change, but it's major change where we're going to be growing out of what has fallen and growing something new. So it is absolutely going to be major upheaval. However, we're focusing on singing through the things that need to be coming through that are something brand new and something that we can protect. So let's look at the Four of Pentacles. I would say, just looking at this, one of the major changes is going to be people are going to be focusing. I mean, I keep saying, tend your acre. It's like what that druid said that I watched a while back. It just basically, you take care of what you have within reach, and really taking care of. And this is like not anti-globalist, but this is basically just making sure that your home is in order, because from there, so as within, so without, as below, as above, so below, and as within, so without, microcosm, macrocosm. Take care of what you have within reach to take care of. And if everybody's doing that, then things will get sorted out. So it's really a focus on making sure that home is safe and home is good and protected and nourishing and well taken care of. People aren't going to be running around as much. That's going to be a big thing. People are going to stop. One of the things, not stop, but not anywhere near as much. We're going to be doing a lot more internal running around, and just basically finding movement within spirit. This is Avaz, it's the horse. This has to do with movement and spirit. It's reversed in the central issue right here on the Four of Pentacles, which is under the umbrella of major changes that are going to happen coming in at this point in time. So we're not going to be moving around much. We're not going to be running around as much. Probably even, obviously nobody was going anywhere during the pandemic, but as we're moving forward into this, there is going to be sort of like, after people decided they were tired of the pandemic, because it's not over, it's still going on, it's less lethal, but it's still happening. People decided they were tired of it, and it's like, let's run everywhere, let's go everywhere, the whole revenge travel thing. But people are going to be like, no, you know what? Things are still not good out in the world right now. And it's probably best if I stay and take care of, my loved ones and my family and my home, and stay safe and, hunker down a bit. because things are happening. So there isn't going to be as much moving around. It's not going to be as bad as when it was enforced based on the pandemic, but it is not going to be pre-pandemic levels or even post-pandemic revenge travel levels. It's going to be a lot quieter. People are going to be not running around as much. Leading up to this, the focus is basically going to be on taking care of duties and responsibilities. We have Tivaz, which is Tyr's rune. Tyr's the warrior god. I do often read this as riding forward with energy, but I'm seeing this, given the rest of this card and the runes on it, really more as tending to the duties and responsibilities, tending to taking care of the things that need to be taken care of. And this is going to lead us to not even wanting to run around as much. We're going to want to stay where we can take care of what means the most to us. Basically just letting our spirit stay. Our spirit, well, not even letting our spirit is going to be like, no, we got to stay here. We got to take care of those we love and our home. What is going to help us is we have Ingvaz. Ingvaz is the rune of Ing. Ing is another name for Frey, and Frey is the fertility god. I usually read this as active creation. However, in this case, I did this earlier as well when I saw this one. I'm bringing in the meaning of ear, the bow, from the younger Futhark. Wait a minute. It is in the younger Futhark. It's also in the Anglo-Saxon Futhark. Basically, continuity and looking at things where we're going to look ahead, where we're going to say, what do we need to do to have things in place for the future? So there is a certain amount of what do we have and how can I use it to shape what I need around us? And this actually looks like that. The card behind this looks like this a bit. So yeah, really just basically working with what we have from where we are to shape what we need. As we have basically stopped, we're going to stop running around. We're going to be worried about, what isn't going to help us is that we're going to be a bit worried about abandoning each other. We're not abandoning each other. We're still living in the age of the internet. So we're still in connection with each other. But there is a certain sense of worrying about turning away from, the rest of humanity and going inward. And there is actually a sense of, the fall of humanity that we're worried about. But we have to stay safe. We have to protect home. So whatever that is for you, even if it's just an internal sense of it, we're not going to be running around as much, which is the central issue on this card. Really to work with what we have, we're going to shape what we need to from where we are. I mean, this one was about, we're making our new beginning. We're supporting each other as we can. We're all using all the magic we can, singing the new into the world. But at the same time, the major change is we're not going to be running around as much. We're going to be sort of more centered, more grounded where we are. So let's get a Woodland Wardens. Oh, sorry, I didn't read the last bit. Through this, we're going to access our source energy better. We're going to be better energized because we're not going to be running around as much. We're not going to be wearing ourselves too thin or spreading ourselves too thin. And as a result, we're going to be able to economize and conserve our energy in the world and in our lives. So we're going to have more energy to put into this. So let's get a card from the Woodland Wardens to sum this up. The Snail and Huckleberry, trust in the invisible. So after all that, and that's echoed right here, looking inward, letting spirit carry you inward. It's like galloping around inwardly. If you're going to do any galloping around, you're letting spirit carry you inwardly. So it is really a trust in whatever you consider that. The invisible forces, what is essential is invisible to the eye, all that stuff. So the final one, the new things that are coming out is people are going to find new ways of accessing richness and wealth, whatever that is for you. It may not be money. I'm not going to say, we're going to do the apocalyptic barter system thing. It might happen, but in terms of not in the end of the world kind of thing, because I like the idea somebody put forward is like get a cult that is like, no, the world is never going to end. It's just going to go on and on. So, but anyway, one of the major changes that's going to happen is there's going to be new ways of, people are going to be starting new ways of getting richness and wealth in their lives, even just like to take care of practical things. But there is going to be whole new ways of doing this that are going to be coming in. So let's see. turning that flow inward, first of all, because things have not been good. I mean, I think this is echoed, you heard a lot about people who, after the pandemic, just said, you know what, we don't have to do this anymore. There's things that we used to do that, we were slave to the rat race and all of that, and people just stopped. A lot of people just said, no, you know what I was doing during the pandemic is more fulfilling to me, and I'm going to go that way. So a lot of people are now making their living off of things that they learned that way. I mean, I'm not saying everybody's going to be have a blog and be YouTube influencers, but it's just people are finding new ways to make this happen. So it's Page, Pentacles, and it's new ways to move forward in looking towards bringing in practical need things, money certainly, but also just like nourishment, having like practical things brought in, but in new ways from what was before. We weren't happy. We're coming from a period of time where there were a lot of people who were not happy. We had Vunyo reversed. So Vunyo is the joy rune, reversed in the path line, reversed on what led up to this. Yeah, there was a lot of unhappiness. So this is basically leading up to our central issue, which is Lagu's reversed. Lagu's is a rune of emotion, intuition, and heart. It's the water. It's the flow. Things weren't flowing. We weren't happy. Things weren't flowing. Our hearts weren't in things. So we now are seeking our deep inner heart. We're seeking our intuition. We're looking inward for this. And we're looking for a way to bring that flow from inside to outside. We're also sort of surfing negative emotions. I talked about this in the readings earlier about how emotional regulation is going to be big. We're really going to start really being much more mindful about that, because emotion without thinking, not that we want too much thinking either, because that can stop us in our tracks also, but in terms of, where we're letting our emotions, which is just basically weather, overpower us and lead us and make a mess, that's not going to be. We definitely want to seek our inner heart, because as long as, I'm sorry, I'm talking over myself, but the whole thing about it was once thought that thinking came from the heart, and that thinking was a separate thing. The thinking part of us was a separate consciousness that was just thinking all the time, and it didn't have to do with us. Thought happened in the heart. The heart is really the best thing to lead at any given time. It's our center. It's our balance. I'm nattering. On we go. What's going to help us? We have Fehu reversed. Fehu's the rune of wealth and worth. Fehu's cattle. So it's the wealth that we tend. Whatever it is that whenever we take care of it, it will give us nourishment. It will give richness to our lives, and it will give us our sense of worth. What is going to help us here? We have Fehu reversed. So that's inner worth, sense of confidence, sense of self-esteem, sense of our worth inwardly. Also really looking inward for taking care of things inwardly that are going to give us wealth and worth. I'm reading this a few ways, but our confidence and our sense of inner worth is going to lead us away from what our hearts are no longer in, and towards new ways of doing things to bring in what we need practically. So our confidence is going to help us, self-esteem, sense of inner worth, and also looking inward and tending the inner things, our inner cattle that give our lives richness and wealth. And that's going to be key. What isn't going to help us is just fear of the unknown. This is new ground, really, for a lot of us. I mean, it's a page, so it's setting out for the first time. It's almost like full level of like leap of faith, but it's not. He's got a bit of a grasp of it. He's got it in theory. So he's moving forward something new that has to do with perhaps finances, perhaps just abundance, nourishment, practical things that are going to be good for that, for keeping one's life. And he's confident. So if you're worried about, because it's something new, you do have that sense of worth, you have that sense of confidence, and we're moving forward, being careful of negative emotions, surfing those, emotionally regulating, but looking inward and letting your heart lead. And what this is going to lead you to, yes, it's going to be a bit chaotic. It's going to be a bit chaotic because this is new for the world. We haven't had so much of this be happening. But everyone is a force of nature. And as I've said before, everybody needs to be using all their magic right now. So we're moving forward. It's going to be a bit of a storm to start with. Bit of chaos, but it's going to be much more natural. It's going to be like weather. It's wild. Sorry, Hagalaz, Hailstorm Rune. Let's get a Woodland Wardens card. Hopefully this will sum everything up neatly for this card and rune set, because for this reading, because that's pretty wild. Yeah, it's the antelope and wheat. So it's focusing on nourishment. Where are we going to get our nourishment? We're all going to need to jump as high as we can. But still, this focus is going to be on new ways of getting nourishment. It may even be on new ways of getting actual nourishment, because I know they're thinking of this, because a lot of climate change and things are changing the way that we are able to grow nourishment and have nourishment. So there's going to be a lot involved with that as well. New people doing new things, setting out new ways of finding nourishment, as well as, keeping ourselves alive. It's going to be wild. It's going to be weather, but it's going to be a dance. And so we're going to focus on that, and it's going to be very interesting. So major change as far as there's going to be upheaval, people singing new things into the world. There's going to be people not running around as much, people are conserving their energy and doing what they can, sort of trusting in what is essential is invisible to the eye, to quote one of my favorite books. And also just this focus on new ways of obtaining not just money, but nourishment, new ways of obtaining things. Major change. So that is the final set of readings for the eclipse readings, predictions, new ways of, this is not normally my way of doing things with this channel, but I hope this was something that was at least enjoyable, if not enlightening, and we'll see what happens. We'll see. Entertainment purposes only. Thank you for joining me. I wish you all the best with this. Stay safe during the eclipse. Whether it's like full moons, whether it's the full moon that's making the people crazy, or the people who are looking up and going, it's a full moon, I'm using this as an excuse to be crazy. Same thing applies to the eclipse. Like, there are going to be people who are like, okay, eclipse, I'm going to be crazy. Whether it's actually the eclipse affecting them in this way or not, we're still going to be dealing with people who've decided to be crazy. So so be careful out there. Enjoy the eclipse safely if you can watch it safely. We do what we can. Good luck, and I wish you all the best, and I wish you a lovely day or evening. Take care till next time. Bye.